This video is an introduction to prisms, cross-sections, and nets. Now, somewhere in your mathematical history, you should have some working knowledge about prisms. A prism is a three-dimensional figure with exactly two congruent parallel faces, and those parallel faces are called bases. Now, the other faces that make up the prism are called lateral faces. The lateral faces are always parallelograms. We name a prism based upon whatever shape its bases consist of. So if I'm taking a look at the picture here on page 2, we're going to take a few minutes and familiarize yourself with some of the vocabulary so that we will all be speaking the same language when you come back to class. In both of those pictures, the areas that are shaded green represent the bases. Notice that there are two bases. The bases are always parallel to each other, and the bases are always congruent. The faces that are shaded in blue in each of those pictures represent the lateral faces. I like to think about those as making up the sides of our prism. So those lateral faces that you see in blue will always be parallelograms. The lateral edges are where two of the lateral faces come together and meet and intersect. So where two of those lateral edges lateral faces come together, that's known as a lateral edge. One thing that's not in the picture here that you do need to be aware of, a base edge would be where the base and the lateral face come together. So that purple line segment represents a base edge. That purple line segment represents a base edge. All right, in example 1, they're asking us to name each of the prisms pictured. They've also shaded in the bases in each of these pictures. So if I look at this base here, this base is comprised of either a square or a rectangle. I'm going to call this guy a rectangular prism. And by calling him rectangular, I also include the square because all squares are rectangles. The base in this picture is in the shape of a 5-sided polygon in the shape of a pentagon. So this would be a pentagonal prism. And the base in this last example is in the shape of a 6-sided polygon or in the shape of a hexagon. This is going to be a hexagonal prism. Also, somewhere in your mathematical past, you've probably heard or seen the word cross-section. I like to think about a cross-section as a little slice of the solid. In other words, it's the intersection of where your solid meets a plane. So in number 2, they've shown us the neat little slice. They're asking us to describe what shape that cross-section would be in if the given slice is made. So if I were to slice that rectangular prism, the shape or the slice would be in the shape of a rectangle or a square. So depending on how you want to think about that, it's going to be the same as its base here. So if you're seeing that as a square, you would say it's in the shape of a square. If you're seeing that as a rectangle, you would say that it's in the shape of a rectangle. I'm going to go with square. And the slice that's given to us in this second example, if we lop the top half of that triangular prism off, the piece that's remaining is going to be in the shape of a triangle. So the shape of the cross section is going to be triangular or in the shape of a triangle. All right, another vocabulary word that you're probably familiar with from your mathematical past is the net. A net is just a pattern or a shape that you can cut out and fold up in order to make into a model of a solid shape. Or in other words, what you would get if you laid all the faces of that solid shape down flat. So in example 3, they're asking us which net can we use to fold up and create the figure shown. Well, if I look at the figure shown is going to be a pentagonal prism. It has two bases in the shape of pentagons. So I'm going to go look for the net that has two pentagons. This net has a pentagon for a base, but it only consists of one base. I need 2 to make the prism shown, so I don't like that first choice. The second choice has 2 bases, However, those bases are in the shape of hexagons, and I need something that's in the shape of a pentagon, so I don't like choice B. Choice 3, or choice C, has two bases in the shape of pentagons. It also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lateral faces, which we would need to create the pentagonal prism. I like choice C. All right, so there's a little recap, probably all of which you've seen or done before at some time in your mathematical past, but it's good to review so that we can make sure that we're all speaking the same language as we head into this unit on three-dimensional geometries. All right, quickly, up at the top of page 3, I want you to summarize the key ideas and important understandings that you'll need to take away with you from this video. And then you can go ahead and answer the 3 questions to see if you can apply what it is you've learned from this video.